Welcome, fellow cinephiles, film enthusiasts, and relaxation seekers. My name is Cinephile ASMR, and welcome to the sewers. Welcome to some. This may look like a GTA 5 location. To others, this may look like I'm going to turn green and grow a shell on my back and ride a skateboard and eat pizza. And then maybe to others, they just might think I'm crazy. Now, I don't think you're very far off in that assumption either. But I did a video about a month or so ago where I read 3 horror stories that I found off of Reddit, and I filmed at like 3 in the morning at a park, and that was simultaneously one of the scariest yet most liberating experiences I have ever had. And since then, I've been kind of obsessed with scratching that itch again. So although this may not be a park, and although this may be a little bit more illegal, I am here. This is a place that I mentally wanted to do, and the idea behind this video kind of just all fell into place shortly thereafter. But I'm going to be getting a little ahead of myself. How are you doing this evening? If you are new here, I'm Cinephile ASMR, your go-to movie person, pop culture, all things, and especially now horror, and I want to introduce facts. Facts of all kinds. Facts about movies, facts about things, facts that'll keep you up at night, like the ones that I'm going to present to you here. But if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, like, comment your thoughts on any of these, any 50 of these thoughts that I'm going to be giving you. I want to hear your feedback. And I'm like, I have to keep looking. All 8 angles here are not covered. And it really is the light that can dictate being a complete open target to anybody around. And admittedly, this video took a lot longer to assemble than usual, because looking over these facts, perusing all different forums, websites, and especially trying to fact check these was very difficult. And the thing that I will say is I probably scoured close to 5, 6, 700 different facts. Half of them, if not like 75%, I wish I never knew. And a lot of them I will not be including in this video for your own preservation and to really kind of accentuate and punctuate why I really wanted to do this video. Because although, yes, these are facts that may keep you up, may make you look at the ceiling and realize that you are just a small speck on this blue planet, I hope in this location as well to create something liminal and a bit more deep and intrinsic within yourself. Because I myself find these facts to be utterly fascinating, but most importantly make me kind of have a much broader perspective of this world. This is worldly things, random things, obscure things, sad things, and it will probably take you to different headspaces, perspectives. So I will say viewer discretion is advised. If you are in a low moment, consider maybe skipping this video, come back. Any and all your support means the world. And also, please forgive the noise. We are doing this as organic as possible. I also kind of wanted to be a little bit by a street. This thing goes on for miles. I thought about going deeper in, but there is tunnels, and I don't want to even think about what's in them. Yeah, I'm really excited. I am nervous. There is water that probably if I drink, I will grow gills and be a merman. Don't know. But yeah, my friends, I know it might be a little scary, but I hope you're able to relax and take something from this. I'm very excited. I have a list here. Get comfortable as much as you can. I'm right by a trucking depot, so if you hear any sort of equipment being unloaded, that's why. But here I have a list compiled. I don't know if yeah, there we go. Of 50 facts. Some I will give my commentary on. Some I kind of think are pretty cut and dry. All of them, though, I will say, really impacted me, and I wanted to pick them tailored specifically for you. And yeah, please comment. I tried my best to fact check all of these. If you have any other added context or thoughts, don't shy from commenting. All right, now that we are nestled in, let's game. Fact number 1. In most cases, it only takes 3 generations to be completely forgotten. Yeah, that one kind of messes me up, because I think like a lot of what I do, especially in content creation, is about leaving an impact. And it kind of makes me realize, again, like we are a speck, and no matter what, our efforts are just feeble. And you can only go so far, before you just inevitably become forgotten in the face of obscurity. And number 2, that while it is true that normal Alzheimer's and dementia only happens at later ages, there exists childhood Alzheimer's and dementia too. That one, because I think like a part of being young is being stupid, is experiencing things for the very first time, and of course being told that like you don't realize how good you have it. And I think that is a privilege, but also a fundamental right to exist and be able to figure that out on your own. So then when you get older, you can be reflective and say, yeah, I did have it good, or something like that. And to think that this thing can cripple you at any age, and as having seen what Alzheimer's and dementia and sundowners does to a mind, to a loved one, they become a husk. And that absolutely breaks my heart. Don't worry, they're not all this doom and gloom. I say that, but number 3, when you're on your deathbed, hearing is often the last sense to go. Made me think of my abuelo and kind of him being in hospice and thinking about what he heard. And I think that's just such an unfortunate twist of fate, right? At least when I die, I hope it's either sudden or in the company of loved ones where they can celebrate what I lived for and not what my death means, the permanency of it all. But I think a lot about like what he must have heard if that was the case. This one's also pretty sad. Do not worry, they will get better. Number 4, there are corpses on Mount Everest that are now used as waypoints. Yeah, I will never scale Mount Everest in my life, but that is crazy. And it makes sense, right? The tools and resources necessary, the manpower as it is, people are doing this on their own, spending hundreds of thousands to do it. That is just, I never knew that. Number 5, we are closer to the year 2050 than the year 2000. That one, a lot lighter, depending on how you think, Time moves by fast, but that's great. That's insane. This one really shocked me, and I really had to fact check this. If all bacteria in a cheese decided to move in the same direction, the cheese would quite literally move a decent distance in a day. I've been told that like there is quite a bit of bacteria in cheese, and a lot of it is what makes it like the mold, the flavor. But that is interesting, just flat out interesting. Number 7, 9/11 attack cadaver dogs started alerting several blocks away from the site because the air itself was so full of the scent of dead bodies. That idea conceptually alone of like dogs being able to retrieve bodies, both alive and dead, has always been something that like I have been like, wow, training and in the extensive, rigorous effort that goes into it. But like, I don't think I'll ever be able to understand what that is like, because in such a huge metropolitan area like New York, I could not imagine. There's like a video that I saw when I was younger by Casey Neistat where he kind of uses footage. He's a vlogger that lives in New York, showing 9/11, and that's just like, Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Number 8 threw me for a loop. Your eyes have their own immune system that works separately from your body's immune system. If your body, was ever able to detect it, your body's immune system, it would subsequently then attack your own eyes. I hope my body never does. I hope your body never does either. Good grief. Number 9. A sloth's claws aren't actually made of creatine, which is kind of what our fingernails are. They're actually their own finger bones protruding from their flesh. Guys, I was made to believe watching Zootopia that these things were hilarious, they're just slow. That, I will never look at a damn sloth the same again. Number 10. There are about 40 supervolcanoes in the world that have yet to erupt. One supervolcano is in Yellowstone National Park and has a magma chamber that is large enough to fit the entire city of Tokyo in it. Obviously, there's no true indication that we're due for a super eruption in our lifetime, but the thought it could happen still is insane. Research basically shows that we are hundreds of years due, right, from one happening. But the fact that I am standing on an earth that could be eviscerated by volcanoes that are just me is a trip. Number 11. The floating specks you see probably aren't dust. You might think they're dust, but in fact, they are dead skin cells. And I've known that. I did know that, but you ever see those videos where it's the nostalgia or you feeling reminiscent about seeing the dust through the window and being a kid? No, fool, you're kind of maybe just looking at dead skin cells. Number 12. That, in essence, one can be aware that they are in a coma and not be able to get out of it. Now, this one I found on Reddit, and I think why I included this is because if you ever look this thing up or hear this fact, which I think if you know anything about comas, it's pretty unanimously understood. But if you ever hear the stories about people who come out of a coma and what their experiences are, it makes me so grateful to be alive, or at least I think I'm alive. That's a whole other topic. Number 13. 94% of human history is not recorded. This percentage has kind of fluctuated, but essentially a majority of human history has and will forever be left undocumented. That's crazy. And I think that goes to this idea that you get older and you realize how much education and the system fails you on what even is documented but just not taught. And it really goes to show that you only do have so much access in your brain, but also the world only gives you so much until you have to kind of craft your own tools. Number 14. Your organs know where they're supposed to be and often move back in place on their own. This really kind of opened up the rabbit hole I went on of surgeons where they do certain stomach surgeries or they have to remove certain intestines within your body. They're not necessarily concerned with putting it back 100%. And I'll never forget when my stepmom had my younger sister and she was she said she could feel it. Sorry for this plane overhead. I apologize for that total nuisance. My goodness. Anyway, shout out to organs and the mobility of them. Number 15. We are possibly on the brink of medical technology and treatments losing 100 years of progress because new strains of bacteria are becoming antibiotic resistant, and finding new antibiotics is a slow process, far out past by the amount of resistant bacteria. So, like, imagine essentially getting a cut on your hand and dying from it. Like, our immune systems they're not what they were. And added to that, our own immune systems have also taken a massive hit as well, because our overuse of antibiotics has killed a lot of the good bacteria in our bodies that works with our own immune system. That, I think I sort of knew, which was like, it's this cycle, right? Like, you get sick, you take medication, fights it, move on, but it won't go away permanently. And there are certain things, like when you become addicted to medications, your body starts shutting down because there's an over-reliance on it, and then the antibodies within yourself just kind of stop functioning. Crazy. Anyway, sorry, I hope that wasn't too confusing. This one is a lot more about perspective that is actually kind of helpful for me. Hopefully it is for you. Absolute perfect health is merely just the slowest rate at which you are dying. No matter how much money you have, no matter how much insurance you have, it is only just slowing the inevitable. I don't know. There's something about that felt kind of hopeful for me. When cats sense they're not long for this world, they'll leave to go pass over somewhere, outside or inside, but primarily alone. That one. And I knew that actually before from a story, and I thought it was just a one and done of a friend whose cat passed, and they basically like went and hid under a bed. And what I have heard through the stories that then I kind of looked up after this was cats will often let out one last meow that kind of just sounds so different from the rest. I don't know why. If you have any sort of like context behind it, like what is such a, and I think that like people love cats because of their independence, but like that is so sad. Sharks predate trees. This is truth. It took me a minute. I was like, what? But sharks predate trees. Octopuses have been observed editing their own RNA, essentially rewriting parts of their own genetic instructions on the fly. Octopuses are kind of insane to me. Like if you look up any video of an octopus that like accidentally climbs on a ship, and they'll find the smallest pocket in this ship to like burrow in, despite them being long, like if you like extend them lengthwise. I've never been able to grapple with like, what the heck is an octopus? Crazy. They're color changing stuff, they're squid, they're ink. So that, insane. The average person walks past 36 murders in their lifetime, based basically on statistical elements in highly populated areas. The number can vary, but I think the fact still remains. You and me have walked past either a past committed or a eventually future committing murderer. I'm checking. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just checking. In 1518, dozens of people in Strasbourg danced non-stop for days until many died from exhaustion, and no one to this day knows why. I heard about this, I want to say like in 8th grade, and it was like something as like an anecdote, like, oh, if you keep dancing, you're gonna die. And that's true, it's happened. And I was like, get out of here. It's real. You can smell rain because plants release a compound called geosmin when they're stressed. It's literally the scent of botanical panic. What? And I love that smell, especially like the after dewy smell, the feeling, especially when it gets slightly foggy. Get real. A crazy vibe. There is a rare condition called Cotard's delusion, where people are convinced that they are dead, and some even demand to be buried. The brain, despite it being this beautiful organism to help us, to let us live and thrive at a drop of a dime, and trust me when I say this, because I have read facts that I wish I hadn't, will turn our life upside down in an instant. Craziness, 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 craziness. If the sun were to suddenly go out, we wouldn't know for about roughly 8 minutes, because that's how long it lasts to basically let light reach the earth. 8 minutes. What would you do in 8 minutes? Obviously, we wouldn't know, right? What would you do in 8 minutes with 8 last minutes? That's a question I hope we never have to answer. The brain can remain conscious for up to 20 seconds after decapitation. Some executed people have blinked and reacted post-mortem. Look, man, luckily we don't have a tall person with a scythe and a guillotine, and we're not being condemned for heresy and witchcraft. But man, oh man, again, our body, I will never be able to fully ever understand it. It's craziness. Your body has more bacterial cells than human cells. You're biologically more microbe than person. I can almost guarantee you didn't know that. My ass didn't know that. I think it's so interesting that, like, when you juxtapose humankind to that of other species, people will often say that, like, we are the dumbest because we are the create tools that are killing us, so on and so forth. But it is like, the more you frickin' know. If you were to drill a tunnel through Earth and jump straight in, you'd oscillate back and forth forever, assuming there's no air resistance, of course. What? And that is true. That one is true. Again, after a while, the first like 12 of these really hit me in like a really bad negative way, where I like had to start looking up different forums and places that I could find like facts and stuff elsewhere, because this stuff is evil. This stuff was so evil, and certain things like that kind of just not necessarily maybe brightened my day, but gave me perspective in a good way, complimentary way. There is a species of jellyfish, I'm going to try to pronounce its name, the Turritopsis dorni, that is biologically immortal. It can revert to its baby state and begin life again at whim. Another thing, like octopuses or octopi, jellyfy, I don't get them. Saw it in Nemo, was terrified. If you know the scene I'm talking about, you know. But there's not much I know about them. Again, if I do research, I'll be able to grasp them. Like, speaking of Nemo, when that fish at the very bottom, I think it's the anglerfish with the light, I looked that thing up. Not nearly as big as the movie makes it out to be. This isn't Finding Nemo facts. Sorry. To any and all Finding Nemo fans, the best Pixar movie. Every 2 minutes, we take more pictures than all of humanity did in the 1800s, yet most of our digital history could disappear overnight. the more we rely on the digital as I'm recording for you, yeah, crazy. Ants don't just farm. They wage wars, take slaves, and even build graveyards. And I guess like if you really break down ants, you could kind of deduce that. Ants are crazy. If you ever see an ant kind of find a piece of food, then tell the colony, and then the colony swarms the food little by little by little, they're some of the most coordinated goons on this map. If I need to squad up in Battle Royale with anyone, it would be some ants. There are more stars in the universe than grains of sand on Earth, and potentially more universes than stars. Again, yet again, we are but just a speck on this planet. That scared the crap out of me. The silence of space is not peaceful. It's the soundless void where no one will ever hear you scream, quite literally. Matter of perspective, I don't know, there might be like the rare few of you who would find peace and comfort in that. But as someone who has taken a couple substances in their life and felt like I was screaming into a void and I had no control or anything to grapple onto, don't do that, by the way. It is debilitating. There is a fungus, Ophiocordyceps, that infects ants, takes over their nervous system, and puppeteers them into death. Just as I was hyping up ants and thinking they have a cool life, I'm glad I'm in human form this lifetime. Oh my god. You can have a silent heart attack and never know it until it kills you later. The way in which life can just be taken from you at an instant is something that I try to not take granted for more and more. And I think like the unfortunate way that life works is it takes death to put that into perspective for you. And although I have been fortunate to have only experienced close-knit death as it was sort of expected through natural age and predispositions, I couldn't imagine. I hope I never have to either. And I hope I never go through it to then have that be put onto other people. Anyway, sorry. There are brain-eating amoebas, Naegleria fowleri, that can enter through your nose while swimming and kill you in days. This is not just individual to this. There are so many different things. A bug landing in your nose. There's a case of someone who then it laid an egg within like a millisecond. They grew and they started basically eating the eyes of someone, and this person kept like complaining of blurry vision. They got it treated, but you can be gone in an instant through just the world itself and the way that our body reacts in sort of light of that. Some of these, again, are really sad, and I apologize. Okay. Most of the universe is made up of dark matter. We don't know what it is, what it does, or why it is there. I do wonder if we'll ever be able to have like an interstellar sort of moment where then like the Cooper of our world has a moment where it's like, oh, we in the future created technology that then made us basically like aliens in that form because that's the only way that our present selves could conceptualize it. Watch Interstellar if you haven't. Your sense of you, or me, your identity can be permanently scrambled by something as simple as a stroke or an injury, yet you wouldn't even notice the change. Again, you ask me like what are my top 3 fears? Going blind and having dementia, losing who I am, my sense of self, my individuality, you name it. Good grief. Prions are infectious proteins with no DNA or RNA. They can lie dormant for decades and suddenly, at a drop of a dime, begin destroying your own brain. This world feels like it's just here to kill us. This one is dark. There are 25 to 50 around active serial killers in the U.S. at any given time, according to FBI estimates. Similarly to the walking past a murder, past or present, you don't know who your neighbor is, you don't know. And I think that's like, again, let me try to tie this into something good. When you do put your convictions and trust into someone, I think you need to kind of understand that, like, that is a powerful thing, because this world is beyond punishing, beyond scary. I mean, the fact that I am here in an area and I am fearful of what could happen to me, But on the flip side, on the counter, your lover, your friend, your siblings, yeah, sure, your siblings are bound by blood and we're raised in the same household, but, like, the fact that you can trust someone, I think, is like the silver lining to it all. And obviously you can doubt that, for sure. That is a human response to love. But God, hold on to love, man. You are always just one head injury away from becoming an entirely different person than the one you are now. Protect your head. I've gotten really lucky, been in accidents, hit my head, had a concussion. If I knew how integral and how sensitive and how there are so many ways that you can turn it to cheese and mush, I would have not done a lot of the things that I wound up doing. The average cloud weighs over 1,000,000 pounds, and no one even notices it floating above them at times. I mean, you kind of don't ever really do. I mean, like, it takes looking at it, but sometimes you focus on the ones that are far more visual, but you never really expect them to be that heavy in density. That one messed me up. There is an uncontacted tribe in the Amazons that kills outsiders on sight, and we almost know next to nothing about them. That, to me, and again, comment if you have any sort of thoughts about this, is like, I remember having a conversation with a friend years ago, and this is going to go into some religion and sort of theology, but that idea of, like, heavy Christians and Catholics thinking that if people don't believe in that, they are doomed to a damnable hell and an eternal life of suffering. But then I think about, like, a baby or an infant that is born and brought into that tribe that knows nothing, no influence of anything of the material world that we live in, or any notion of that. You were telling me, because of circumstance and who they were born into and what life and culture they lived, they're damned to hell. Sorry, guys, I didn't mean to drop that bomb, but that, like, I included that because that thought came into my head. In 2003, my birth year, a man was found dead in his London apartment 3 years after he had died, and yet the TV was still on. There's a lot of context behind that, and you can read that up if you'd like. I don't really want to get into the details of it, but it checks out. And that is hard. That is, to me, to think that there's people in this earth that think that there's no one that will be there to contact them or to check up on them. And the saddest fate, that then they take their own life and they aren't found for months. That breaks my heart. Go hug a friend. You shed around 40 pounds of your skin in your own lifetime. Most of the dust in your house is actually you. Tying back to the dust thing, it is so interesting to think about how you lose weight over time through ways that you wouldn't even think. Not even out of exercise, but just general mobility and existing. That's crazy. Just double checking. Everything you're seeing right now, even this video, happened in the past. Light takes time to travel, even fractions of a second. You never see the present itself. Maybe it's because of the chill of the air, but I got full body chills. Don't worry, we're getting close to the end, my friends. If the Earth was the size of a cue ball, it would be smoother than one, meaning all the mountains and valleys are just but surface texture. I think then you have the conspiracy theorists of flat earthers, right? Where you look at all this and you're like, there's no way. I'm not a flat earther. If you are, you're kind of insane. But it does make you think. Gravity, the Earth's rotation, sun, moon, everything. Why, and how? I really try not to think about that. Those are some thoughts when you're inebriated, and that I can't get into those rabbit holes. Rogue waves, towering walls of water over 100 feet tall, appear out of nowhere and sink even modern ships. I like the title of Rogue Waves, though. I mean, I wouldn't wish them, but crazy. Spiders can survive in your home undetected for months, maybe even a couple years, hiding in places that you never look. Now, I read a fact long time ago that there is at least, and again, you can check me on this, it's not one that I'm including because I don't like to think about it too much, of there is at least one spider in your lifetime that goes into your ear. That for I heard a noise. As a kid, I remember my mom told me that as an anecdote, or if you don't go to bed, a spider's gonna go in your ear. My mom, crazy woman. There is a 1 in 9.2 quintillion chance you share your exact DNA sequence. Okay, that might be my sign. There is a 1 in 9.2 quintillion chance you share your exact DNA sequence with someone else. Yet DNA evidence can still be wrong. Guys, what? To think of doppelgangers and clones, I think media has really pined that for a lot of its fear factor. Shout out Jordan Peele. But it is crazy, we all share similarities, traits, and whatnot, but an exact replica DNA style. And then finally, Cinephile ASMR is the greatest ASMR artist. What? Whoa there, Buster. Who's dropping truth bombs like that? That's crazy. Oh my god. I'm sorry. I'm trying to also stay a little aware. It is 1 in the, well, actually, yeah, well, it's 12:45. Sort of same thing, but there you have it, my friends. Again, if you like this style of video, I really want to do more like it. I love facts, I love details, and I think given my style of content, I can really integrate it to new movies out and have some fun with it. Obviously, I will say that a lot of them will not be out here. This is far more horror centric or uneasy centric. And again, my goal is to not instill the fear of sleep depravity in you because of this, but more give you perspective, and hey, maybe even to instill some confidence in you. and courage. If I can film a video at 1 in the morning at a truck depot in a sewer and risk my life, maybe like the video, mean a lot to me, but also go out there, take a swing. I love this. I love doing this, man. I think like my big thing, maybe it's also because of like the weird disarray that TikTok is in, but I really have wanted to commit to YouTube in a way that I haven't, and I've been wanting to try and experiment new things. So please let me know your thoughts on this style video down below. I love you, my friends, so please remember, hey, and you right there, all of you, to take life one frame at a time. Who's that? Oh my god.